Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And yesterday after doing a what if over in Anime King 3 and Anime King 2, I got a really nasty headache. I ended up falling asleep guys, so I wasn't able to do any on Anime King, so I apologize for that. But today I'm going to be giving you part 25 of what if Naruto was the direct descendant of the sage. And also stay in tune for what if Naruto became the god of lightning. I'm going to be posting an episode of that today on Anime King as well. So stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And remember as usual to get this one to 100 like and share it to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2 and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as it was mostly centered around Fu, as she had gotten up and made her way towards a pond, where she went inside and closed her eyes, as she entered her mindscape as she talked to Komi inside, as, from what she got, Komi was a rather petulant person. She was the peacemaker between her siblings, always trying to bring the calm between them. And despite having a female impression, Komi had no gender. Yeah, that was rather strange. But still, Naruto was right as Komi was a really nice person when you got to know her. As Fu started to ask her questions and Komi was happy to oblige and tell her whatever she asked mostly. As they were getting together on good terms, even though, well, Fu was still not a completely trusted person when it comes towards the thing that ruined her life. After all, Komi was still inside of her and people used her as a weapon. But it might be just as bad for Komi seeing that she was sealed for so long. Meanwhile, Fu searched for Naruto the entire day as she couldn't find him after that was over. When nighttime came though, she found him as he was on top of the roof. He had went out to get something for them. He was always doing this, always taking care of them instead of looking after himself. Because today was his birthday as he even got Fu something. As she was a bit angry about that. As he apologized, that made her even more angry. But after talking to him, she calmed down a bit, as she had something to give him for his birthday. Well, she was rather shy to do it as she found herself blushing red. As she gave him a quick kiss before running off, as Naruto was left there speechless. He went to clear his mind the next day, as Fu has been, well, avoiding him. From the kiss happened, it was just a bit awkward, as Naruto found himself with his darker half. The part of him that he locked away, the part of him that thought he was betraying Shizuku for all of this. The both of them fought while they were at equal terms. It reached the point where the both of them were barely staggering forward. As Naruto muttered a word and black chains with razor-sharp tips appear. His darker half was trapped as Naruto didn't even know where that power came from. As Naruto won, but his darker half had a more impression on him than he thought. As he was going to, well, take the opportunity that he has and grasp it. So when he reawakened as he saw Fu, he kissed her. As Fu was left shocked and speechless. But he made up his mind as he was going to take the opportunity that he was granted. So yeah guys, those basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across and please and check out for yourself. So this is the beginning of this new episode. There was a huge burst of light and colors. The noise was really loud as the population of Hainokuni watched on in a larger area as they were enraptured by the celebration. As people were decked out in their yukatas and their kimonos as they went through the bustling streets. Small children ran with sparklers in their arm as they ran towards the many games that were being illuminated by the bright pretty lights. This was a scene that 4 teenagers, each of them around 16 years old, enter as they walk into the town. 3 of them feeling completely underdressed in their casual clothing. The boy at the lead had to dodge out of the way as a kid ran past, as he was moving around with a sparkle in his arm. The one at the front was tall for his age, as he was currently 5'9". His long, spiky blonde hair running down into his back, tied in a ponytail at the end. Another flash of the fireworks went off, illuminating the sky even more. The girl at the back of the group cursed as one of the kids stepped on her feet by accident, as she turned to glare at them, but they were long gone. Her long red hair whipped around as she moved. The boy beside her that was a bit taller simply smirked, with long black raven hair. He was rather feminine, most people said about his features, as he was dressed in a deep blue kimono. The final person of the group had a soft smile on her face as she stepped around the kids, with an elegant movement that only a noble woman or kunoichi could possess. Her shoulder-length messy green hair, with a pair of orange eyes, as she turned back to her friends. "It is quite a lively town," she said. The boy at the lead simply grinned as he leaned on the shakijo that he was carrying. "I think we caught it on a good day. You could say that, Naruto." As the blonde simply glanced around, taking a deep breath as he smelled the wonderful cuisine all around. "It has been so long," as he smelled the sweets. "It has been 3 years since they have had anything, well, sweet. Living off of what they could catch gathering in the past 3 years. Well, in any case, we should go find a hotel or inn. We've been traveling for a while now, and we should get some rest." The redhead at the back of the group glanced towards a blonde and snorted. "Yeah, as if, Blondie. I never got to experience one of these festival things before, and they look like a good time." Now, she grabbed Aku's arms roughly. "If you don't mind, I'll be barring femboy here. See you at the hotel or whatever." With that, she flicked them off. They knew that was a friendly gesture from her. If other people saw this, they would thought that she was, well, rather rude. But they understand her quite well. As she went off with Haku. "Why is it that I am the one that have to go with you?" Teiwaya smirked up at Haku, kind of annoyed by the difference in their height, seeing that he got taller than her in the past 3 years. But she's, well, able to hide it better. "Easy," she said. "I want some food, and you have money." He gave her an impassive look. "You get where I'm going with this, Haku-chan?" she said. He sighed in defeat, as Teiwaya smirked at that. "Alright then, Dango awaits." Naruto could only watch the smile as two of his closest friends walked out together, as they vanished in the bustling crowd. "I think they need this." As Naruto started to walk, as Fu was walking by his side. "Oh," said Naruto. He already had the idea of what Fu meant, but he enjoyed hearing her opinions and her thoughts. But unfortunately, 3 years hasn't changed her that much. When it comes to her personality, she was still a rather quiet person, only speaking up when it concerns her, or it was important enough, or when she was around her closest friends. I don't imagine that anyone in our books has ever experienced a festival before. I have read about them in many books, but never participated. As Naruto remembers time in Konoha, he never really get to enjoy a festival because he was too young or he was too afraid, as the people give him nasty looks. He imagined that it was the same with Teiwaya and Haku, both of them who haven't lived life that would make them enjoy these kind of things. No one in our group has ever had a normal childhood, trained from young age to be fighters, or weapons, or completely removed from normal society. She smiles as a small girl was chasing after a young puppy, as the both of them seemed so happy as the dog's ears flap as he ran. It is nice to experience things like this, even if it's only for a short time. She blinked as Naruto was no longer beside her. As she looked, "I think you're right," she turned, as she saw him at a fish catching stall. As he motioned for her to come, she smiled as she went over. Time skip. "Oh, colorful, aren't they?" Two men stood as they looked down on the village. The bright fireworks were the only things that showed their features as the lights went off. It was a rather large man that said that, but he had on a hat that hid his features quite well. "Why did we come here?" the shorter man said, his gaze seeming bored. He too wore a hat over his head, but his black eyes could be seen. "Oh, come on now, we should get to Cape back ever so often. A festival is the perfect way to do that. Some sake, maybe a few women." The smaller man sighed at the suggestive tone in his companion's voice. "Even an emotionless guy like you should be able to appreciate that, right?" the larger man said. "Very well, but make it quick." The larger man smirked a rather toothy grin as he rubbed his hands together happily. I knew it. Even someone like you has to have fun once in a while. He smirked as he saw a group of women dressed in some fine kimonos and yukata as they giggle and laugh amongst each other. Now then, shall we hit the casinos or enjoy something on the softer side? His partner remained quiet and simply walked towards the town. The bigger man simply smirked as he followed his companion. Another bright flash shot through the sky, illuminating the black cloaks that they wear with the red clouds on them. Time skip. This is strange. None of the games here seem difficult or challenging. What is the point? Said Fu, as Naruto chuckled. I don't think the point is for them to be difficult. I think it's only supposed to be fun. He pointed to a young couple around their age that was standing in front of a ring. Toss, stand. As the boy kept on missing, but the girl beside him cheered him on as he got one of them. As she erupted in a large cheer, congratulated him. See? Fun. As the stall owner handed the boy a gift. A teddy bear. As he handed the girl, she looked down with a blush on her face before she looked up and kissed the boy on his cheek as he smiled and rubbed back of his head. Fu paused as she looked up at Naruto. Could you win me something? As Naruto blinked at the timid tone within Fu's voice, he simply grinned. Sure, come on, he said. As he held her hand, she blushed, but he didn't see it because he was walking in front of her as he brought her over to the stall, a rubber ball scooping game. The stall owner handed Naruto 3 stacks of paper scoops. As Naruto could have channeled chalker through the paper, reinforcing it and waterproofing it, but he was naturally honest by nature, so he decided to just play the game as it was. As he gently dipped into the water and flicked up one of the balls without breaking the scoop. The stall owner was surprised, but Naruto did it 3 more times before the paper finally broke. Wow, that's pretty impressive, kid. You come to festival often then? As Naruto rubbed the back of his head. No, it's actually my first time, he said. The stall owner just smiled at the young couple as he gestured towards the prizes. Well then, the lucky beginner gets to pick one of those prizes. As Naruto saw the one that he wanted to get, a white, plush wolf with red markings with flames on his back. It was decorated that way. As soon as he got it, he passed it to Fu as her cheeks started to get red and more red. Thank you. As Naruto was about to tell her it was no problem, but she silenced him from saying anything by kissing him right on the lips, tipping on her toes because of the height difference. When she finally leaned back, she had a satisfied smile on her face as she hugged the small wolf to her chest like a normal teenage girl. No problem, said Naruto. This wasn't the first time that he kissed Fu, but he always get this tingling feeling in his stomach as he turned and knocked the other scoops over by accident. He went down to pick them up, but someone beat him to it. You should be more careful, Giki. You will get a few of these. As Naruto raised the eyebrow at the man's blue skin, as the man offered back the scoops to him, and Naruto saw the black nail polish on his hands. He also had on a ring that had a kanji for South on it, but everything else was hidden by his robe and also his hat. Thank you, said Naruto. He couldn't see, but he could almost feel the vicious grin that the man was giving him. No problem, kid. The man stood back up, as he had a companion beside him dressed the same way. Even without his water sensory ability, he could feel a large amount of chakra coming from them. Be more careful next time, the man said as he walked off. As his partner paused and looked at Naruto for a second. Are you okay, Naruto? Naruto turned his head as Fu looked at him, as a smaller one walked off. As Fu was holding on to his shirt sleeve, as she was also watching them as they go. We should go find Tewa and Haku. Get some rooms for the night before they're all booked up. Fu paused as she felt like he was leaving something out. But she let him lead her off, as she was still holding on to her stuffed wolf against her chest, while he held on to her right hand, she held it with her left hand. The two men continued to walk, the larger man parting the crowds with his mere presence, the smaller one weaving through them like a ghost. The large thing on the larger man's back was moving slowly. It was like it was switching around, as it was wrapped with bandages. Oh, is that right? Samehata has some interesting information for us. What do you think, Itachi? The shorter man lifted his head slightly, as you could see his eyes fully now, and they were now red. Go on, Kisame. Time skip, all of these people don't make tracking the kids' chakra any better. You should give me more credit, Itachi. Kisame said, waiting for a reply as they made their way through the large gathering of people. The festival was winding down as people flocked to their homes or their hotels. But you are still able to track him. Kisame sighed. It was like speaking to a rock that spoke, but most of the time he was just quiet. And he was a skillful rock, but it was like speaking to a rock. Yeah. Once Samihata got her scent, she's better than any Ninkan. But who would have thought that we would be the first one to find her Jinjulke? Huh, Itachi? Itachi said nothing as both of them made their way, as the scent was leading them towards the hotel. Itachi spoke. It does seem unlikely, considering that the Kyuubi Jinjulke and the Nanbi Jinjulke are the only ones Leader Sama was unable to locate. All the better for us, partner. Kakazu is going to be annoyed that we got ours first. About all that talk of money from him, I can tell that he's a competitive type. As they start to walk up the steps, as they arrive on the second floor, as they arrive at the door, is this it? As Kisame nodded, Itachi knocked on the door. The door opened rather quickly, as a teenage boy blonde hair stood there with a smile. Itachi remembered when he was in Anfu, and Naruto barely reached his waist, but now he was on the same height as him. Naruto Uzumaki, said Itachi. Yes. How can I help you? Both of them were surprised by the calm demeanor that he had and how easily he gave away his identity. After all, this was one of the Jinjulke Zetsu was unable to track, as they thought that he went in hiding, and not to mention the fact that the both of them were saturating the air with their chakra. They were S-class missing names, and yet he was so calm despite that. Oh good, we got the right one. That makes things a lot easier, said Kisame. You know, it's quite strange talking in the corridor like this. Why don't you come in, said Naruto. Looks like you've been traveling for a long time. As he saw the dirt at the bottom of their cloaks. I have tea, he said. Itachi narrowed his eyes. I'm afraid that we don't have time for that, Naruto-kun. You will have to come with us now. Nonsense, said Naruto. If there was one thing my master taught me, there was always time for tea. The two of them stood there completely shocked, as Naruto simply went back inside. After a moment, Kisame struck as he turned towards his shorter companion. Actually, some tea sound good. Not like we're on a time limit or something. And then Leader Sama said something about sealing the Kyuubi Jinjulke class. But Itachi was already inside, as he was already seating himself on the wooden stool, as a table was between them. Hey, that was rude, Itachi, as Kisame walked in and sit on the couch. He took the cup of tea. It was almost like the blonde was waiting for them. Hey Giki, where's that cute girl you were walking around with earlier? Said Kisame as he looked around, as he noticed no one else was here. Oh, she's about somewhere, said Naruto. Neither of them reacted to the bait, but they were impressed that he could simply shrug off their oppressive chocolate like that, like it didn't even matter. Finally, after he poured 2 more cups for him and Itachi, he looked up with a bright smile. So, what can I help you with, he asked. Kisame burst out laughing as he couldn't take it anymore. What the hell was going on? As he nudged Itachi. Man, Itachi, can you imagine how easy this whole thing's gonna be if all the Jinjulkis are helpful as this kid here? Itachi was distracted by his partner laugh as he missed. Naruto's eyes hardened a bit, but they returned back to normal the next second. Now what could you two want with the Jinjulkis, said Naruto, as he blew on his steaming cup. That is unimportant, Naruto-kun. All you need to know is that you'll be coming with us, one way or another. They expect him to go violent right now, or do something, but yet, he just sat there calmly. Itachi didn't notice that Naruto was squinting his eyes on purpose. Yes, they were not default that way. It was like he was hiding something from them. Could I ask where, said Naruto. Kisame from Kiri, and Itachi from Konoha. Or is that former? You know of us, Kisame said. Well, it didn't really matter in the end. He was gonna be slunged over Shamihata soon enough. Of course, few from Konoha don't know of the prodigy Itachi Uchiha. Genin at 7, Chonin at 10, Envoy Captain at 13, Flawless Mission Report, and Slaughter of his clan. I also had the privilege of traveling through Miss Nakune, and I heard about Kisame a lot. Monster of the Mist and wielder of legendary blade, Samihata. I actually find your other nickname most amusing, the Tailless Tail Beast, as he took a sip of his tea. You know, I know someone that will be very disgruntled with you having that name. Insulted even. Oh really? Who? Kisame asked. Naruto simply sipped on his tea as he decided not to answer. As hospitable as you've been, Naruto-kun, I must insist that you come with us now. As Naruto glanced towards Itachi, noticing that the man had emptied his cup. Now, no need to be hasty. It's only fair that you answer a few questions of mine before we go. Go on, Itachi, humor the kid. He's kind of grow on me, and it's not like it would matter in the end. Itachi wanted to glare at Kisame, but he decided not to. It wouldn't affect him much anyway. Fine, what would you like to know? What does your organization want with a Bijou? Kisame smirked at that. Naruto was talking so casually. It was like he was talking about the weather. What makes you think we're part of the group, Itachi said. The matching cloak and the gold. That would require far more resources than 2 missing nymphs as yourself to muster. As powerful as you are far smarter than I thought you'd be, Itachi said. Oh? How did you expect me to be? Like my younger self, naive. Showed not a promise out of a far-fetched dream. As he simply chuckled. I suppose it would only be half right then. But anyway, back to my question. Our goal is peace. They were silent as Naruto mulled over that, its face blank. And you would use the Bijou to achieve this? Itachi nodded once again. Kisame was getting rather bored as the conversation wasn't really enlightening anymore. Well then, said Naruto, I think that is all I need to know. Thank you. And with that, without any kind of warning, he poofed away in a cloud of smoke. The both of them were shocked. A shadow clone? Kisame swiped away the smoke as he coughed a bit. That tricky brat. Why didn't you see that, Itachi? The shadow clone has an identical chakra to the original. This one gave no sign that he was a clone. Can you still track him? Asked Itachi. Kisame shook his head. The blonde was already out of range, and Samihata wasn't looking, thinking that they already caught him. Then we need to inform Leader Sama about this. He needs to know that Ikayubi Jinjuki has resurfaced. A shame that we didn't get a pinpoint on his skills though. It would have been much useful for the next time we see him. On the contrary, even through his clone I could tell that he has large reserves, even larger than your own. Samihata wiggled on his back, confirming what Itachi said. As Samihata was excited, there was something else as well. I tried to briefly glimpse him with my Sharingan, but any genjutsu I cast, it's almost like he didn't even know that they were there. But that's good, right? No, it's like the genjutsu has no effect on him at all. As that was quite frightening for someone like Itachi, who mostly focused on genjutsu. But that isn't the most interesting thing. Oh? Said Kisame. The chakra flow to his eyes were strange, almost like my own. Wait, the brat has a dojutsu? However, the way the chakra moved, so steadily, and in a constant amount. I have only seen that in one other person. As Itachi knew that this would be more, well, dangerous to their mission, if he was right. Who? Kisame asked. Leader Sama, said Itachi. Time skip, as Naruto was currently in Mizunokuni. So kid, what's your business with Utakata anyway? As there was a squad of envoys leading him. He was simply walking at front, and he was unconcerned that they were behind him. I came to warn him about this group hunting the Jinjulkis. The man behind Naruto was Sergai. Despite working with the rebels, he never saw this man before. He supposed he was behind enemy lines, sabotaging and assassinating. He was directly under AO for the envoys. The reason they were walking through here was because they had got sightings of a man, a tall man that was blowing bubble through the area. As Naruto felt like it was best for him to at least warn his fellow Jinjulkis. They had been dealt a hard hand in life anyway, and they did not need any more suffering from this group, whoever they were. However, considering that most of the Jinjulkis were no longer Jinjulkis, and B was very strong, he felt like the Rokibai Jinjuki was the first one he should warn about the upcoming threat. Not even Fu knew about Utakata, but they knew that Kira was the last one to have the 6th Jinjuki. As they got information from Mei though, it seems that they weren't the only one looking for him. She was also looking for him, as the man had went missing for some time now. Mei had gave him a description, and also his name, Utakata. Mei had hoped, with the loss of the samurai because of Yagura's death, they could gain back some of their power by gaining the other Jinjuki. She hoped that he would come back home after hearing that the civil war was over, but he did not. It has been a year and she sent envoys out to find him, but years of being chased by Yagura, hunter nymphs, to be brought back to the village to be used. The man had become quite, well, elusive, unable to escape tough situations, and also he was hard to find. I still don't understand why a brat like you was assigned to this mission. You aren't even a shinobi. It's insulting that the entire team of envoy has to play babysitter to a bunch of kids who are barely older than 16. "I'm 18, you asshole," said Tiwaya. The man simply rubbed down his face. "I don't care if you're 30, he said. You aren't. Kira Shinobi." Naruto simply chuckled as he pointed his hand towards a tree. "He has a fire finte." Surgai was shocked, even the man in the tree as well, as he thought that he was hidden very well. But Naruto knew that he was there, as Naruto didn't allow the man to say anything, as he pointed to another empty space to their left. Water affinity, with a second affinity to lightning, a small one though. Earth, earth, another water affinity, a strong one, said Naruto, pointing at nothingness. Surgai realized the Anvus were indeed there where Naruto was pointing. "So, you're a sensor." Surgai prided himself on knowing his Anvu's abilities, so he knew them quite well. But the ability to also sense people and chakra nature was rather rare. He understood now why the kid was placed with him. It would be easy to pick out a Jinjulki if they got close enough. That doesn't really help us find Utakata though. Naruto simply pointed forward with his eyes closed. Surgai smirked, as there was no Anvu there. About 200 kilometers that way, there's a small camp of Anvu Black Ops. 5 men and a woman. 3 are asleep while the others are awake, setting up perimeters. Surgai frowned at that, as he knew that was correct. He was the one that issued the order for that this morning. "So you're a powerful sensor," said Surgai, as Naruto abilities remind him of what Yakura used to do. "What's your range?" As Naruto thought about it, how far he searched out his water sensing without getting a headache. "About 3 kilometers if I stand still," but it get blurry after 2. As Surgai didn't say anything. Utakata has been around for a very long time now, so it would take at least a S-rank shinobi, a powerful one, to get him. Time skip. A small fishing village on the south-north of Mizunokune. A man sat on a cliff as he looked over towards the sea with a bored look on his face. He had a pipe at his mouth as he blew on it as a bubble was created. As he looked at the warp, distorted color bubble to see where the wind would take it. He was a thin man. He was wearing a blue kimono that showed his bare chest. His dark hair fell over one of his eyes. "Well, you finally found me. I suppose it was just a matter of time in the end." As he heard the crunches behind him as he stood up, he then turned. It is strange for the Mizukage to use shinobis outside of the country. After all, blonde is uncommon in this area. "The Mizukage sent you to take me back, right?" The man simply reached into his pouch. "Oh no, I just want to show you something." Utakata was on edge right now. "What?" "My art," the man said. Meanwhile, now I'm officially bored. Tiwai says she sat down on a large rock. The 4 of them were outside of a small town, where they had received reports of a bad matching Utakata description. Surgai and his envoys went ahead to check it out, telling the civilians to stay where they are, and they should not interfere in Kiri operation. It was rather rude for him to leave us here. We could have at least simply gone into the village. As Naruto raised his eyebrow, it was rare to hear Teiwaya and Haku agree over something like that. Teiwaya sighed once more. If this guy has been running for so long, I don't think that he's gonna come peacefully. That is why he decided to leave us here, so that he could keep a few of the envoys hidden, just in case. "Well, it doesn't really matter," said Teiwaya. "After all, these guys in the black cloaks, they want the Jinjulkis, right, for the Bijus. That means they will have to come after you first. Honestly, it made me feel sorry for them, seeing that I know how powerful you are," she said. "Well, it doesn't matter if this group goal is successful or not. I made a promise to the Bijus that I would help them find peace. All of them," said Naruto. "But if I can keep the 2 remaining Jinjulki out of it, for the sake for their Biju, then I will. You know, if this whole world peace things of yours doesn't work out, you should probably go into public speaking, or maybe therapy." Naruto simply smiled. He could always count on her to make light of any dangerous situation. Anyway, Naruto raised a hand cutting her off as Surgai appeared. "Hey, took you long enough, asshole," she said. "We were waiting." Naruto raised his hand cutting her off once again as he looked at Surgai. "Don't bother, Teiwaya. These aren't the envoys. They're fakes." As he turned his head towards a random direction. "Isn't that right?" he said. Something jumped out of the trees and landed. It was a man, but his body was hunched over, and he was wearing the black cloaks with the red clothes on it. "Well, not exactly. These are the envoys. I merely improved them." The voice was deep and gruff, like it did not properly belong to the owner. But to find out so quickly after a mass of changes, well, it seems Itachi was right not to underestimate you, Kyuubi Jinjulki. "What did you do to them?" said Naruto, as he saw a thin field of chakra covering the envoy, preventing him from seeing anything inside them. But there was also strings coming from their bodies, As it was going straight towards that thing that was also covered in that thing, a layer of chakra. They were almost like the strings of a puppet. Like I said, I improved them. I made them eternal. Allow them to last forever. They're not as perfect as my usual work, but I'm proud because of the short amount of time I put into this work. As the envoys removed their masks, Fu, Haku, and Teiwai's eyes widened in surprise. As Naruto started to tremble a bit in rage, each man and woman had a sick grin on their face, as their face was locked up like a puppet. Their eyes were permanently white and glassy, locked on a unending stare. You would defile their bodies in such a way. His thoughts were thrown back to Orochimaru and what he did, just to taunt him. You know nothing, boy. Do you defile a canvas when you fill the frame with priceless art? I give these men a taste of immortality, an art that lasts eternal time, and you call that defilement? You are merely an ignorant child, so you wouldn't understand, but I'm not here for you, Keiba Jinjulke. You all need to be delayed while my partner handle the Rukibai Jinjulke. Teiwai, Haku, Fu, I need you to go and help Utakata. Fu wanted to object, but she saw it looking at her eyes, and the cold stare that he was looking at the man with. As she remembered back when he faced off against Yagura, and that was 3 years ago when he took down Yagura, a full-blown Jinjulke, and the thought of what he could do now, well, it was terrifying. Right, the three of them dashed off to the village, but the puppeteer twitches threads. What makes you think I'll allow them to leave? 5 of the envoy moved forward to intercept the kids, but sand burst on the ground and crushed them. Without a second thought, it pained her to do this, but given what they had become, it was like a mercy. As the 3 went on, dashing off into the trees. That was foolish of you, boy. Do you really think you can face a shinobi like myself alone? Oh, I don't need to defeat you, said Naruto. I only need to delay you until my friends deal with their partner. You really must have some confidence in them to think they can handle an extra shinobi. Oh, I do, said Naruto. Well, knowing my partner, he will always do something over the top. But he will give some idiotic speech, and I really hate to be kept waiting. The man moved forward as Naruto raised hand once again. But 2 of the puppets came forward and opened their mouth, releasing a spray. As soon as the substance made contact with the sand, Naruto felt his ability to control it taken away. It was like each individual sand grain was sticking to each other, rendering his ability null. Do you like it? I intend to use that adhesive against the one-tailed Jinjulke when he resurfaces. But seeing that you and him have the same ability, which is rather odd, I suppose it would suffice. The remaining puppets rushed forward. Naruto raised his hand. Almighty push! As the puppeteer eyes widened before a wall of force met the puppets. They were all broken as they smashed into rocks and trees. As a black rod dropped into Naruto's palm as he threw it, as it impaled the last puppet. The puppet slumped down as a chakra rod disrupted the chakra inside. Remarkable. As Naruto turned towards the puppeteer, the man was staring at him. So you do possess the Rinnegan. That is truly fascinating. Naruto was surprised by that. He did not show this man his eyes, and also, Kisame and Itachi did not see it either. How could he possibly recognize it from the abilities that he displayed? After all, the Rinnegan was supposed to be a extinct dojutsu. Incredible. You will be my greatest masterpiece of puppet like no other, as I wield the power of the Sage of Six Paths at my fingertips. I promise you, once the akatsuki is done in your body, I will use the utmost time and care to make sure your body is turned into the perfect piece of art. Should I feel honor of that, said Naruto. So Akatsuki, that is the name of the organization hunting the Bijous. The man just looked at him. Seems you already know, well, nothing. Well, I suppose I should introduce myself after all. I will be turning you into the greatest work of art. I am Sasori of the Red Sand, former ninja of the Hidden Sand. Well, I am Naruto Uzumaki, Jinjulke of the Kyuubi, but I suppose you already know that. As Naruto struggled to put a face to his name, well, Fu was a walking encyclopedia. Not him, so he had no idea who this guy was. As the man tore the cloth away from his mouth and released a hail of Senbon, as Naruto quickly was able to brought up his hand and block all of them with an almighty push. Sasori burst out of the smoke that the collision created as his tail came out, as Naruto blasted it away with the backside of his hand, but it slipped around like it was a true tail. As he jumped backwards, throwing up a wall of sand, but the razor-sharp tail cut through it like it was barely even there. Come now, make this worthwhile, won't you? I want to know the ability of my next puppet before I strip you open. As Sasori was still there, the tail behind him swaying. As Naruto looked at his hand, a purple liquid had dripped on him from where he touched the tail. Ah, I see you notice. A nasty blend of mine. I suppose you can be, experiment to test it for me. Naruto wiped the purple liquid on his robe. As he looked back up, Sasori's tail was gone. It burst out of the ground behind him and whipped through the air, but it was blocked by a similar blade. But it was not dripping poison like Sasori's. It was like a tail as it came from behind Naruto. As the two of them clashed, creating sparks, as Naruto did not move before Sasori withdrew his tail. You're already showing the compartments of a puppet. I really want to open you up and see what you're made of. As his body returned back to normal, as that blade was a creation from the Azure Path. I already told you, said Naruto, you won't get a chance. You haven't shown me anything to tell me that, or to show me otherwise. Naruto raised both of his hands. Almighty. Push! Sasori did not move, as his body hunkered down to the ground. What Naruto did saw, though, as his cloak was blown off, was a puppet? Yes, Hirko, one of my favorite puppets. It eliminates all of the problem that most people face. Instead of hiding behind my puppets for protection, I simply hide within them. As Naruto saw why his almighty push had no effect, spikes emerged from their feet and hand, locking the thing to the ground, as the spikes went deep. You have to understand, Kyuubi Jinjoke, I'm a puppeteer. The more a puppeteer prepares for anything, any encounter, the more deadly we are. And I've been preparing for a long while now. And I'm the best puppeteer in this world. Naruto raised his hand as the tail stopped swaying. Sasori prepared for another almighty push, but the tail seemed to have got a large amount of weight as it slammed into the ground. The entire body, the joints, creaked as it was forced down, as the gravitational field was crushing it. Sasori had no choice as the puppet exploded, scattering hundreds upon hundreds of senbons. Naruto brought up his other arm to block all the senbons that came his way, as something leaped away quickly and landed in a tree, wearing a black cloak. Impressive, Kyuubi Jinjoke. The ability to manipulate force and gravity is a very dangerous one. One that I would put to good use in the future. However, now the real fight can begin, said Sasori. Time skip. Fu was confused. A moment ago she felt the Bijou chakra, more than she ever felt from herself. That mean Utakata went into a full transformation state, but now the place was calm, too calm. As the group was running, tiles were beneath their feet as they moved across the ceiling. The tiles turned white. Their eyes widened as everything went up in flames. They quickly leaped, but the next roof they landed on, it started to explode as well. Every single roof as they moved from roof to roof. She ran out of rooftops as she leaped up in the air as a blast went off, throwing her back. She dug a trench through the ground as she was sent flying back. She picked up herself quickly as she looked around, ready for another attack, but she only saw Haku running towards her. His kimono was a bit singed, but he was fine. Fu, you're okay. What was that back there? I lost track of Teiwaya in the blast. Fu tried to find their attacker, but it didn't take too long as she saw a man smirking down towards her as he was standing on a nearby building. The remain of the building. He was wearing the black cloak with the red clothes on them. You survive. Sasori Dana is not going to be too pleased if I keep him waiting for too long. Couldn't you just succumb to my art, like the good little kids that you are? Fu recognized his style as Explosion Release, a very rare Kikigenkai from the Hidden Stone. However, his headband was slashed. She didn't remember there being a entry of him in the bingo book before she ran away with Naruto. Her information was becoming more and more out of date. She needed to get her hand on the bingo book. Haku, this man used explosions. The villagers here will be at risk. So trying to find Teiwaya and get them to safety, I will draw his fire. Haku hesitated as he didn't want to leave her alone to face such a powerful opponent. But he heard the way she spoke. It was the same way how Naruto spoke. It was just filled with so much determination. Right. Oh? The man did not move as he looked at Fu. You will lead me away, huh? The sound of flapping could be heard behind him as a large white bird came up. How are you gonna do that if you can't reach me? He said as he hopped on top of the bird. Fu then saw something being carried by the tail of the bird. It was Utakata. He was unconscious. So all I have to do is catch you, she said. Two wings emerged from her back. These were different from when she undertook her Bijou cloak, as they seemed real, like they were always a part of her. She proved how real they were as she lifted off the ground as they were flapping so fast you could barely see them. The bomber was already going off as he was going to meet up with his partner. It was years of reflex that made him move to the left. This spinning object that passed him so quickly unfurled in the air to reveal that it was Fu, hovering there. But the man simply looked her over and smiled. Well, green hair, orange eyes, insect wings. So that is where the Nadabi Jinjulki went, huh? Sasori Dana would be so pleased if we brought Act 2 Jinjulki with us. Alright, Nadabi, remember my name. It is Deidara. Because true art will be imprinting on your rightness at the last moment before everything goes blank. You will have the opportunity to experience my true art, which should be a great gift to you. After all, nothing is better than my art, which is an explosion. Fu felt something behind her as she dropped down to the ground, her wings going up so she could push herself back. Cats! The much smaller white birds that were sneaked up behind her detonated. But Fu already get away from them as she shot back towards Deidara as he removed his hand from his pouch and threw out more explosives. A poof of smoke later and they changed into medium-sized birds with 4 wings that rocket towards her at tremendous speed. Fu placed her hand in the tiger's seal as she took in a deep breath before breathing out sparkling dust as she fly right into it as Deidara was unable to see what was going on. He covered his one eye that was there and looked through his scope under his other eye, but it was still blinding to look at. Cats, he said, taking his chances that the birds got close enough. As it blew away the illusion, the hair on the back of his neck stand up. He moved just in time as her feet connected with the bird. If it was alive, its spine would have been broken as the thing was sent sailing towards the earth as she was coming from a high altitude. So the speed was intense and the strength behind the kick was not normal at all. Deidara watched her from his fall as she stood there, glancing down towards him with an emotionless look. It was the same look that Itachi would always give him, to act like he was superior to them. Especially him, and he hated it. As a sick grin came on his face. As Fu then felt something as she looked down. Spiders were crawling up her body. Deidara had planted them on her when he ducked under the kick. Guts, Deidara said, as the explosion illuminated the sky. But no body fall from the explosion. When the smoke cleared away a bit, there was another small tiny smoke in the center. Shadow clones. You're pretty good for a Jinjulki. He was caught by another bird as he glanced around. As he saw Fu flying away from him, she had Utakata in her arms, getting away safe. Deidara smirked as his bird raced after them with tremendous speed, fast for his heavy frame. Deidara simply smirked as he saw her holding on to Utakata. Bad mistake, Jinjulki. Fu looked down as the limp form of the Rokibai Jinjulki in her arms. Skin tone started to turn into a white color. Doughy white. Clay. She tried to drop it, but it sticked onto her hand, trying to consume her to wrap her up. Cuts! Deidara smirked as the explosion went off. He had to got her that time, as he smirked where he was. Deidara's smirk faded away when he saw her right in the center, protected by her wings. Fu didn't know anything stronger than the scales of Nanabi wings. She now had 4 of them that wrapped around her protectively. They unfurled. She had to be careful though. This was the limit of her partial transformation in this state, given that she was taking on the cloak, just the wings. No, Deidara said. Fu noticed his hands. He had mouths in the palm of his hands. Disgusting. As they started to spit out a miniature dragon. It didn't say miniature though, as it was a poof. And it got large as Deidara jumped off his snow bird onto the dragon's head. You haven't seen any of my true art yet. Fu looked around and she spotted the Rokubai Jinjulki and the dissolving mouth of the body that she had kicked out of the sky of Deidara. She noticed something off about his body. It was radiating Biju chakra at an alarming rate. As the man's eyes snapped open, his face twisted in rage. Even Deidara turned as he felt the full, oppressive aura that leaked from the Rokubai Jinjulki. Damn it. Sasori Dana is gonna be annoyed at me, said Deidara. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part, don't do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. I'm gonna be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning, so stay tuned for that, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And also guys, over in the Making 3, I'm gonna be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo. So stay in tune for that, and I do hope that you guys enjoyed this as well, guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.